Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Masks Off. I'm Kim Gross, and today my guest is Sabrina Victoria. Yeah, Sabrina is also a Floridian, so I'm super excited to potentially get to meet her this coming winter in person. And before we jump into her story and the conversation, I'm going to begin with a quote as I normally do. And the quote is by Sabrina. And the quote is, everything is going to be okay.
Hmm.
And I got full body chills when I said that. And the reason that I got full body chills, and I just want to take a moment to just discuss the quote, and then I'll let you introduce yourself. And the reason why this quote resonated so much with me when you put it on the form is because it is something that I have only just begun to do for myself. And thank you. I've only just begun in the last year or two to be able to create that inner safety for my inner child, the inner safety that my inner child never had. I grew up in fear all the time, fear of the unknown, fear that the people that were my caregivers wouldn't be able to show up for me in an emotional way. All my physical needs were always met. That was not the issue. I had a roof over my head. I had food. I had clothing, all of that. But my emotional needs, when I was scared, when I was sad, when I was angry, I wasn't allowed to feel those feelings or express them. Not because I was told not to, but we just didn't. I just grew up in a family environment where we just didn't do that. Everything was swept under the rug. So emotional intelligence and emotional literacy wasn't available. And it wasn't available for most people that are in my generation, my age. So that was so hard to go through life being so scared, even as an adult. And now that I do it for myself, I say it to my daughter who's 21 all the time when she is in a state of overwhelm, a state of anxiety, a state of panic. I say it to her, but I'm also saying it for myself. Everything is going to be okay. Not only that, but everything is okay and everything always was okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just want to start out this conversation by giving gratitude to you for sharing that because it so resonated for me. And I'm hoping that it will also resonate and connect with the listeners as well. Just it's a mantra, right? Everything is okay. So thank you so much, Sabrina, for sharing that. And if you want to add anything about what that quote means for you, and then if you want to share about yourself, we would love to know about you. Tell us, tell us.
Yes. So yeah, the quote probably started in my head late 20s. And it was a time in my life where I was in real darkness, real despair. And I don't know, I took a moment at some point and recognized that I had already been through so much stuff. I think there's times in our life where it gets hard and then we think to ourselves, I can't do it. I can't do this anymore. I just want to give up. You throw your hands up in the air and you're just like, screw this life. Let's just do a do-over. And
Yeah.
what I really started to recognize is all the stuff that I had been through, all the ups and downs, and like everything was okay. Everything ended up okay. And the mantra started in my head, just a deep breathe. Everything is going to be okay. I say it all the time. Anyone who knows me knows that I say it anytime there's a rise in the universe or in the vibration of the people that I'm with, or my spouse or my child, where there's a level of anxiety, you can feel it kind of go up. I always just do a version. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And it's really become I don't want to say a lifesaver, but honestly, a lifesaver. It sounds so simple. It's like, girl, for real, but for real, of just the reassurance. And I love that you're already talking about the inner child work. And, I'd love to go into my story regarding inner child work, because that is a lot of it, is standing in the leadership role of everything's going to be okay, of me speaking to my inner child and reassuring them.
I love that. So tell us, do you want to start with your story, or do you want to start with, it's totally up to you, with what you do and how you show up in the world today?
Yeah, I would love to. So, Sabrina Victoria, I run a community called Her Nation. It's an all-female community based around a teacher-student concept. So it's women supporting women, micro, and then women supporting humans, macro. And the idea is to have women coming in who are predominantly entrepreneurs or a expert in a space of whatever that is, to be able to teach. And then also allow yourself as that teacher or student to also show up vulnerably in the areas that maybe you're not doing so good in, right? We have health, we have relationships, we have communication, we have money, career, education. What are the areas that you're maybe not doing so good in? This way, another woman can stand in her power where she's a champion and she can teach you. So it's an absolutely beautiful synergy that we're creating. I predominantly work with female entrepreneurs and am absolutely obsessed with helping humans human better.
I love that. That's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
So where you are today is not where you were always.
No.
And I talk about, for me, I go from that, I went from my prison to my paradise. And we're not talking about literal prison for those people who are like, what the heck is she talking about? Who are these women just getting out of prison? And that would be okay too if we were. But I'm talking about a figurative prison of the mind, prison of the spirit, the soul, and then being able to do that inner work to now be where you are in terms of your personal growth, reparenting your inner child, being in a position where you are an entrepreneur and you have created and grown this community where you are helping humans become better humans. That's the paradise. So if you wouldn't mind taking us on that journey of where you were before and how you got to where you are.
Yeah. So I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. I got pregnant at the age of 20. I wasn't married. And because I wasn't married, I was considered a sinner. And I got what's called disfellowshipped in that sect. And I lost communication with my entire family, my entire community, everyone that I had ever known just dropped me like a hot potato. And I led this stereotypical single mom broke ass life of just literally no money, a rolling balance of like negative $117 in my bank account every single month, digging in my couch cushions for 25 cents to put gas in my car because I'm negative, eviction notices on my apartment door every other month, car getting re-put out of the parking lot, dealing with postpartum. So dealing with the feelings of like wanting to hurt my child, but not knowing why. So just feeling like a total psycho mother, and just darkness, wanting to kill myself, wanting the whole thing to end, wanting to run away. I used to think about just dropping my baby at the fire station, just pretending like it never happened. I mean, just hating my life so much. And about a year and a half into that, I met a man. That man had money. I had been praying to God for help. So I thought he was given to me by God. So because of that, I ignored all of the red flags that were stapled all over his body. And I fell hook, line, and sinker for all of the tricks. Soon after we met, he convinced me to move in because I couldn't afford rent anyways. He convinced me to quit my job because my job sucked anyways. And, let's build an empire together. And all you have to do is keep house, no big deal. And I'll take care of you. And it was all presented to me shiny. and rainbow filled and beautiful. And there was a pit in my stomach where I knew, people ask all the time, like, when did you know that it was not a good relationship? I knew day one, but I ignored it because I literally thought that it was given to me by God, for real. So, long story short, so much toxicity times 10. I'm working 14 to 16-hour days. I'm getting paid $250 a week with still all of my expenses of daycare, car, groceries, gas, insurance. So I'm still broke at the end of every month. And we went from a little townhouse, working out of his little townhouse, making about 100 grand, to 8 years later, 5 houses paid in full, 12 cars paid in full, 0 debt, making $1 million a year, and nothing is in my name. I'm working day and night. He's just hanging out, chilling. And I'm basically a workhorse, is what I am. And he dangles this carrot in front of me consistently. Soon we'll retire. Soon we'll get married. Soon we'll have kids. Soon, 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 soon. Meanwhile, so much verbal, mental, emotional anguish every single day. So one day I'm on the floor in the bathroom, just having a total mental breakdown. It's 8 years into the relationship. I'm bawling my eyes out, like the kind where you're screaming and crying at the same time, because like crying isn't enough. And I took out my phone. I always say, Google saved my life. I Googled, why is my boyfriend bullying me? Because I didn't know any other vernacular other than the word bully. Like, he's being mean to me. And the whole world of narcissism just hit me right in the face. Codependency, empathy, mental, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, financial abuse. And literally within 2 minutes, I did a complete 180 in my mental thought processy, because I was in a prison. Like, when you say prison, I literally used to tell him with my words, I feel like I am a prison. I feel like I am a slave. I feel like I am stuck. I hate this here. And I took my power back that day. Soon after that, I opened up a secret bank account. I started 3 online secret businesses. Over the course of 4 years, I collected 50 grand, which does not seem like a lot of money, but I literally felt like a millionaire for real. And I ran away. I dropped the big, bougie house in West Boca, my brand new fully loaded BMW, and my computer, my phone, everything. Dropped it all. And I just ran away one day. I took my son, our clothes, and my bicycle. That's it. I started all over again with a mattress on the floor. And I've been building businesses ever since. And really encouraging the 3 things that I didn't have in my life, which was community, education, educating myself on things I didn't know that I didn't know, and networking.
Mm-hmm. And where are you now today? Tell us.
Oh, you know what? It's such a, I hate just jumping right from that to that, because girl, it has been even just my money story. Like, I'm like, I collected 50 grand and dude, my money story to get that money was a nightmare, was an absolute nightmare. When I finally moved out on my own, the lack, the distress, the scarcity mindset was so heavy. I mean, I was working a job, I was working my business, I was working eBay, I was working Airbnb out of my house. I was also what I called sourcing, where I was leaving my house at 10 o'clock at night, every single night, and driving around bougie Boca Raton till 2 a.m, picking up my neighbor's garbage, putting it in my garage, and reselling it on OfferUp. I was making between $2,000 to $4,000 reselling free product, plus working my business, plus Airbnb. I mean, just trying to get money so that I wouldn't have to fall back into the life that I had left, because he promised me. I mean, me leaving wasn't just like, I just left. dude, it was mental torture, phone blowing up, messages, threats, like emails. You're going to fail. You're nothing without me. You're going to end up living behind a dumpster. Stop the games. Just come back. What are you doing? You're an idiot. You don't have a college degree. No one's ever going to pay you anything. All of this stuff just constantly in my head. And I had to somehow create like two personas of this person that was getting beat down and wanted to give up and wanted to cry and just wanted to crawl back because it's so hard and because I didn't know if I could. And then this other person of, I'm gonna mother up and do this. I mean, it was torture.
Where did that person come from? Yeah. How did you, was that person just always a part of you, or did you have to where did you and how did you dig deep enough inside yourself to get that person?
Yeah. I joke about this all the time. And the reason that I work with all female entrepreneurs is I was not saved by women. I was saved by white old men.
Say more about that.
When I would Google search in Google, inspirational stories, motivational stories, Google would present me with white old men, Tony Robbins, Joel Osteen, Wayne Dyer, Les Brown, who's African-American, but still in the same genre. Those were the people that were telling me that I could do it. Those were the people that said, don't give up. Those were the people that said, you can do this. You can succeed. You can be anything. And I read their books and I listened to their podcasts and every single YouTube video. I stopped listening to music. I stopped watching every single show on TV. I fully immersed myself. Any given time, there was no noise. I had something in my ears of a man telling me that it was possible. And when I think back, I remember specifically, and I screenshot this actually. I screenshot one day the list of all the men. It was like 6 pages before we got to like Barbara Cochran or Oprah Winfrey or something like that of men. I remember thinking to myself, I need to create a platform where women are sharing their stories because I knew that my story was powerful. I knew that. I knew that I was going to get out. I knew that I would have a voice. I knew that my story was going to inspire and motivate other people. And where is the platform for that? Where is the platform for women warriors who are doing hard things and who have stories to tell? And, that's kind of where all of my pivots, right? It took me a long time to get to where I am now, but that's where a lot of my pivot into building the community that I have now stemmed from, was that thought ages ago.
Yeah. Okay. So let's back up for a second, because as you were saying that there's not a platform for women to show up and show out, I was thinking to myself, and I don't know if this is a generalization or not, but I'm thinking to myself, do women suffer more than men? And maybe that question doesn't matter, but let's just entertain it for a minute. Do women suffer more from not feeling worthy enough, good enough to shine their light? Is it something that we have been conditioned? Well, we have been conditioned, right? If you go back 100 years, 200 years ago, if you think about the role of women way back, women were almost always submissive, yes?
Yep.
And we're always more in the background and in the shadows. The male went and was, I'm the provider. I'm going out and I'm getting dinner for us and I'm going to go kill the bear or whatever. And so maybe we have more to overcome because we have this ingrained belief system, DNA, whatever you want to call it, that we're not supposed to shine. And isn't that also what was happening in your relationship? with this man. Am I correct in saying that you were so maybe more instrumental than he was in creating that empire? Or even as, yeah, okay, right? So
I believe so, girl. I showed up
yeah,
every single freaking day, 7 days a week, 14 to 16-hour days, and he was playing golf.
yeah, okay.
But
See,
yeah, see, so, but when I tell my story, because this is the thing, we all have a story, right?
yes,
So like my story is different than his story. So the lineage of the story, that I got a lot was, well, he had the business before me. That's true. So if I hadn't have been plugged in, what? So there's a balance there, right? Of
yes,
like, yes, I do say that. And if I wouldn't have been plugged into that, right? But one of the things that I say is it doesn't matter the way that my brain works. It doesn't matter what business. It doesn't matter what you're doing. I'll always rise above. So he could have owned one gas station. And by this time, we would have had 68 gas stations because that's the way that my mind works. So I know that now. I didn't know that then. He saw a gem. He saw what I was, and he fully took advantage of that. And he kept me poor on purpose so I couldn't leave. So it was a perfect synergy.
right.
He acts very naive to it, like, oh, I didn't know, and I was trying to save you, and you give me no credit, and this and that. But like, boy, he's smart. That guy is smart. He kept me poor. He was giving me no money to be able to leave. And you know why I know this? I'll tell you one of my money stories. When I first started to create money for myself in my secret bank account, there was a moment where I had $6,000 in it. I have my computer open. I'm looking at my screen of $6,000. He's coming up behind me. There's an ego inside of me where I wanted to show him that I had made money, because the whole duration of building his business, you're stupid, you're dumb, you don't know anything, you have no college education, you have no business sense. The only reason we are where we are is because I started us out here and you had a hand up and this and that and the other thing, right? And when I had this $6,000, I was doing under the radar, right? Like nobody knew. I had to do all secretly. I couldn't be loud and proud about it. I collected $6,000 in a year. I was so proud of myself and I wanted to gloat to him. He came up behind me and I knew I shouldn't have showed him, but my ego took too long and he saw it. I closed it, but he saw it right before I closed it. He took my computer, he whipped it across the room. It didn't break. And he flipped out. How dare you have money? You're skimming, you're stealing, you're ungrateful. How are you not paying any bills? And he took hours and hours of arguments, hours of berating, ungrateful and unloyal, and how dare you? And you're not giving anything back to the household. You should have no money saved up. And he took away my $250 I was making a week. He's like, you're no longer getting that $250 for 6 months. He didn't pay me that $250 until all my money went down. I was still working, right? So I'm still creating, but that $6,000 went out. And that's when I knew for sure, because there's always this cognitive dissonance, right? Because he's still saying he loves me. We're still having sex. He's providing for me monetarily. He is providing for me monetarily. I did not have any worries about money. That is a real thing. But deep, I'm like, this is not right. The day that happened, all of that cognitive dissonance went out the window. This man is trying to keep me poor. This man is trying to keep me a prisoner. This man does not want me to escape. He has absolutely no loyalty towards me as a person. He's literally keeping me here stuck. And when I figured that out, I doubled down.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for sharing so vulnerably and honestly. And what I want to go back to and pull apart a little bit, because I want to help listeners see how a person can go from that kind of verbal and mental abuse to being the person you are today. Because what you are describing you experienced in that relationship is what so many of us experienced as children. And it is what catapulted us into not feeling safe to show up in the world as our true and authentic selves. And that's what Masks Off is about uncovering the reasons why we put on masks, why we feel so afraid to show up as our true selves. My belief is that we are so afraid of being rejected, being abandoned, if we are showing up as we truly are. Imagine yourself showing up as your true self in that relationship. I can't imagine how he would double down on the abuse.
Yeah.
And so can you talk about that a little bit so that people can see what happens that keeps us from stepping out and being who we truly are? Like, what kept you in that place? And then we can talk about some of the things that you did to grow personally and then come out on the other side.
So what kept me in that relationship?
Talk about what the experience was for you when you just described how he was telling you, you don't have a college education, you don't have this, you're not good enough for this.
Yeah, I mean, girl, I was crying every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every night I would cry myself to sleep. It breaks you.
Mm-hmm.
You're literally broken. I used to accuse him of stabbing me all the time. And he would say that I was being dramatic. I'd be like, I feel like you're just stabbing me all over my body every day. Because he would just say some nasty comments to me. And it would literally be like a dagger to the heart. My whole life revolved around this person. I had no life. Didn't do anything. Nothing was in my name. My name wasn't even on the water bill. I didn't even exist. I wasn't even an employee, Kim. I was a 1099. So yeah, the heaviness, the darkness, and then just no way out, no place to go, no one to turn to. I wanted to die all the time. I talk about this bridge when we lived in Pittsburgh for a little while, and I talk about this bridge that I used to go over every day to go to work. And every day I would think to myself, all I have to do is just turn my wheel.
Yep.
And if I turn my wheel, my car would just fly off the bridge. And then literally all of this would just go away. And I would say to myself, I can always do it tomorrow. If it's too hard today, if he breaks me today, I can always do it tomorrow. And every single day I would go over that bridge. I would just think to myself, yes, and let me just wait till tomorrow. And that's really what saved me.
Yeah.
It's just me just saying to myself, this is really bad. And this is really heavy. And this sucks so much. But let me try something new, something different, a different tactic, a different whatever. And if it doesn't work, I can always do it tomorrow. And I know that speaks to so many people. I know that there's so many people out there that are right now living in a life that is not theirs. They know it's not theirs. They can feel it. I remember just feeling this gut feeling. And I said, this is not my life. This is not where I'm supposed to be. I am supposed to be somewhere different. But see, the thing is you have to live in order to get to that new place.
Yeah.
You can't get to that new place unless you're alive. So it's this realism of like, yes, I don't want to do this anymore. And I have to keep going if I ever want to see what that life will be.
Yeah.
And then working towards that thing.
I love that. And again, underscoring what you were just naming is that the pain of not being able to be your true, authentic self, the pain of not living in wholeness, the pain of not being sovereign was pushing you to want to drive off that bridge every day. And so I really want listeners to hear this, how painful it is when we don't show up as our true selves, when we are wearing masks. Because when you're wearing a mask, you're not living your life, like you just said. I love what you described. It's the fighting human spirit of, let me try one more thing. Let me just keep going, just keep going. And I remember going to a therapist many, many years ago, and he just described something as the fight, like just fighting and keep continuing to push on. He compared it to fish swimming upstream, right? Fish have to keep swimming. Even Dory in that Finding Nemo movie, you have to keep on swimming, because if the fish stops swimming and doesn't keep going upstream, that fish is just going to go all the way back. So you have to keep swimming, keep on swimming, keep on swimming. And that's what I heard you saying, is that every day I crossed that bridge and I just wanted to turn my wheel and I just wanted to go up. I was like, all right, one more day. Let me try one more thing. Let me keep on swimming, keep on swimming. So I love that. And then eventually that got you to a place where you did take all your stuff, your bike, your child, and the clothes on your back, and you had the courage and the strength to walk away and leave. And what I hear is you just have been moving forward and swimming ever since then. But I also know from my own experience that it's not a magic wand, as much as I wish it was. Just like, let me wave my wand and all that pain is going to just disappear. That's not the case. The more we push it away, the more we push it down, the more it keeps haunting us. So we have to face our demons. We have to feel in order to heal. So what were some things that you have done on your path to do that healing work, to get to the place where you are an entrepreneur, a speaker, a motivator, helping women and humans to be who they're meant to be?
Yeah. One of the main things that I dug into was personal development, reading all the things, watching all the things, Tony Robbins, going to his events. Landmark was another big one. The gratitude course was another big one. Constantly working on my mental and emotional health has really catapulted. One of the things that I love to talk about briefly here is inner child work. Inner child work has been the complete pivot for myself as far as the way that I function in my world as a leader. So I believe that one of the main issues that we have is confidence, right? A complete lack of confidence, a complete lack of self-esteem. And how do you grab that? How do you grab more self-esteem? How do you grab more confidence? And that's standing up into courage, right? I did a ton of courageous things. I did a ton of scary things. And then also stepping up into leadership with my inner child. So some people believe in just one inner child. I believe in a community of inner children. So I believe that I have a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 17, a 22, a 30, a 39, and now a 40-year-old. I just turned 41 inside of me. And I have been handed the baton.
Yeah.
And every single one of those Sabrinas led a life for 1 year. And some of those Sabrinas led a really, really shit life. And they wanted to give up. And they wanted to die. And they wanted to drive their car off a bridge. And they wanted to run away. But each one of them felt a light. Each one of them knew that there was something. And they just knew, just like a baton race, that all they had to do was one lap, just 1 year, and do all the things and show up optimistic and learn all the things and do the best they could with the knowledge that they knew, and do their one lap. And then they would hand it off to the next Sabrina. And then that Sabrina's job was to again rise, right? Again rise, because you don't want to fail for your team. Right? We have a team. I have a team coming with me. And now at 41 years old, I have the baton. And I can't give up for all those other Sabrinas that have run so hard through sprained legs and pains and cramps and all of the things, right? They kept going, they kept running, they were going as fast and as quick as possible, and they were dodging things. And now I have it. And so I have to stand up as the leader. I have to stand up as the role model. And I have to say, I got you. I'm up and I got you. And I'm going to take all the learnings and all the things that you have done, all of you have done. And now I am showcasing, and now I am showing up with the information that I know, right? It's totally different than the information that the 45-year-old Sabrina and the 50-year-old, because I'm going to continue to learn. I'm going to continue to pull. I'm going to continue to evolve so that my 42-year-old Sabrina can then have a really awesome platform to stand on, and she can do her best. And that right there, just that modality, just that concept has catapulted me probably when I learned about that, maybe 33 years old, to where I am now. And because I understand that concept and I believe that concept and I visualize my concept and I talk to my past Sabrinas all the time, and I am grateful and I say, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I have an obligation. I absolutely have an obligation, and I absolutely have a duty to my team.
Thank you so much. You got me teary. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that. Yes. Thank you. That was so motivating. The inner child work is so key. And I do sense and feel all my different inner children. And I never quite visualized it exactly the way that you just described it. You just made it so beautiful. And I see them now as they are my team. They're all there. Every part, every inner child, my 2-year-old self, 3, 5, 10, whatever, all waiting for me to rise up. I even like that, rise up. Oh my God. This has been an absolutely amazing conversation. And I feel like we could talk a lot more for sure. Thank you for your inspiration, for your vulnerability, for sharing your courage, your story, all of it. If people wanted to find you and reach out to you, how would they find you?
My main website is sabrinavictoria.com. That's where you can find all the things, social media, all of the communities that I run. And sweet and simple, sabrinavictoria.com.
Okay. And I will have everything in the show notes as well. If there's just one thing that you wanted the listeners to take away from this, do you have a one takeaway?
Never give up. I mean, that's really it. If you have that, which we all have that, by the way, we all have something in our gut that's pulling us towards something, because we haven't gotten there yet. We're still on our journey. So all of us have a gut and a light feeling inside of us where we're like, there's something else. There's something. We all have that because our journey isn't done yet. So allow that to pull you forward. And whatever that vision is you have for yourself, continue to work towards it, even if it's taken from you, even if it seems as if it has been taken from you. If you still have a pull towards that thing, girl.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for being on today. I really, really love the conversation.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So thank you everybody for listening to another episode of Masks Off. I will see you next week.